It's chat time with Chunk and Cucumber and your host, Dino.
Good morning. Hello, friends. Welcome to Chat Time. I'm your host, Dino, as always, and with me, of course, I'm moving. With me, of course, is Chunk and Cucumber.
Yeah.
And
Cucumber.
yes, that's the Cucumber one.
I like to make that very clear at the beginning.
And today we have our special guest, Grand Lyon.
Hey! All right. We're having a good time. We're being friends. Hey, chat with friends.
We paid him to say that.
Yeah.
So, Grant, Grant's a comedian, a board game enthusiast. We're going to find out a lot more about you in a bit, and we're
Sweet.
so happy to have
My
you.
favorite topic, me.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
That's not creepy at all, is it? Anyways, so we're gonna start with what we always start with, which is, but how do you feel? Which very nice question.
Yeah, let's tell.
It's very good.
Hooray!
But how do you feel is our segment where we talk about how we're feeling using a category. And today, coming up, I believe it's tomorrow, is Make a Friend Day. And so I want you all to, based on how you're feeling, make a friend that you need today. Whether it's the same as how you're feeling, the opposite of how you're feeling, whatever. It can be funny, it can be serious. I don't care. Let's get deep if we need to. I don't give a shit.
Ooh, all
I'm
right.
gonna break it down in the morning. I don't know. Cucumber said he's caffeinated, so he probably won't. But
Yeah, what?
what? Nothing. Exactly. What, you got one already?
Yeah, I got one.
You got one? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
okay. I want one. I need a friend who looks and sounds and acts just like me. So just basically another me, but like a more efficient, more motivated version of me, so you can get all the work that I have to get done.
So you with
Okay.
Ritalin.
Yeah, me but better.
You, but better. It's like a clone you, like you're gonna clone
yeah,
a
then
better
I can
version
sit
of
in the
you.
back, I can get some drinks, and I can just watch him work.
Yeah.
Do all the shit I gotta do.
Okay, but it's, by the way, Cucumber, I just started watching Invincible.
Yes!
And it's reminding me of those two brothers, or the clones.
twins, yeah.
The twins, where they like clone each other, but they keep arguing who's the real one. Is that gonna happen with you and your friend?
No, because we'll make it clear ahead. Now you bring that up right up front. I'm the real one.
You gotta bring. But what if he's like, no, I made you. I'm the real one now.
Picturing the basement in the Prestige, with a bunch of little chunks in files.
Discarded in boxes. None of them were efficient enough.
Are you the chunk in the box?
Oh no.
Chunk outside?
That's a good one. Ooh, I like that a lot. What about you two?
All right. I
got
got
one.
yes.
Okay.
I've been watching Peacemaker a bunch. And
Yes.
you know
Nice.
what I need a friend like Vigilante who just looks up to me and will do anything that I ask them to do, okay? Because I've been feeling like a little overwhelmed in my life and I haven't been able to do the life stuff. And Vigilante is the type of friend where if I was like, hey man, could you go do my grocery shopping? He'd be like, yeah, of course, I'd love to do your grocery shopping. That's the kind of, I just need a friend I can use to get life stuff done right now.
You need an assistant, friend.
Yeah, I need an assistant. I need an assistant who also is cool and is my friend.
I'm sensing a
I'm
similar
taking
theme.
applications down if anybody would like that. Yeah.
Sign up at the website. I think I got one. I need a friend who efficient is one way to do it, but I need somebody who's going to motivate me. I need somebody who's going to be like my cheerleader.
dominatrix.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I need whips. I need chain. No, that's a different friend.
Well, you know what? I think you can find this, and I think you can do it.
Thank you.
And I think it's mostly legal.
Well, you think what?
What?
What'd you say?
What?
What? I don't know. But yeah, I need somebody who's gonna be like a cheerleader, but also like, hey man, get off your ass, do that thing.
Like with the costume
A
and
life
everything?
coach.
Yeah, with a
you
costume
need
and everything.
like a Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins that likes board games, I think
Yeah.
is what I need. Board games and Star Wars. That's what I need right now. What about you, Cucumber? Sorry.
Oh geez, I think I would like a very wide, three-headed friend with at least 4 arms,
Kinky.
so that I can finally get to a 4-player count every time I get a new game. 'Cause it's some bullshit trying to fill a table.
The pandemic is hard for this. I'm very much
feel that.
appreciating the
Yeah.
2-player games that have been.
Yeah.
But I want them to
going
be
up.
set up like good AI, where like there's one idiot and then like one that's kind of middling and then one that would be my nemesis forever.
I remember, like, I had, like, famous last words in, like, February 2020. I remember somebody asking me, like, do you think solo player board games are gonna be a bigger thing? And I was like, no, it won't be.
It's your fault.
I mean, there'll be some, but it won't be big. big. And then I was like, now solo player board games are huge.
Huge, yeah. Anything you can play by yourself where you don't have to see anybody, you're good.
I wish I had the focus because like they're so well designed and I just cannot.
Yeah, I bought the
turns-
Star Trek one. What's it called? Ascension? No.
Ascendancy?
That one. And I pulled it all out. And I looked at it and I was like, nah.
I did that with Dune Imperium. I tried to play the solo version of Dune Imperium, which is just like 2 AIs and you, and you're going through and you're like, okay, this is a lot of setup that I could have played Pokemon instead or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I need someone
that
to
was a big
explain
one.
me the instructions. I don't want to read them all.
There's videos.
Yes, we've learned this.
I will say, it is like, in my game group, I'm the rules learner, right? And it gets a little
It's
exhausting.
hard, doesn't it? It hurts a little inside.
Yes, it does. And it's like, they're like, oh, I really want to play this game. And I'm like, yeah, you should learn it. And they're like, I don't want to play it that bad. Okay, great. Me again, huh? Me learning the rulebook again.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I understand completely. But luckily, I've been playing a lot with my girlfriend, obviously. It's the two of us mostly. And she's very patient. I know that other friends are not patient. And I know, like, whenever I go to other places, like, yeah, we're going to have a board game night. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring Phase 10. I'm going to bring Flux. I'm not going to bring Dune Imperium or or anything like that. Because I know, even though they'll want to play a game like that romantically, it'll not get on the table after drinks and food. We'll just be
I
like,
too am sexually attracted to Dune Imperium. Yes, I understand.
oh man, he's got the big one too.
So good. And I just got Rise of X expansion, y'all.
Yeah, I actually haven't played Dune Imperium yet. I know. I did the Lost Ruins of Arnak, and everybody was comparing them at the beginning because they're both deck building worker placements.
Yeah,
So I was like, well, I have one, but I think I need to play it.
It's pretty fucking
good.
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
And my only complaint about the base game, I think they fixed it with X. I haven't gotten to play that expansion yet, but you don't really burn through the deck or like your personal deck or the game deck very much, and I think X was supposed to fix that. But other than that, it's a nigh perfect game. I love
Yeah,
it
I've heard
so
great
much.
things.
If you ever want to come down and play with us,
Honestly, I'd love to.
Yeah. we should have one of these Mondays have the Dune Imperium game with this like new deluxe set that just came in and everything with all the minis and everything.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessary, by the way. It's just pretty shit. It does nothing for the game, but holy hell. That first player token's worth the price of admission.
Oh, that metal coin. Oh man, with the word. Oh Jesus. Anyway, Grant.
My eyes are messed up.
Goodbye.
My eyes are messed up, Funk. The life. Grant, who are you? What do you do?
How did you get in
This is the
here?
most existential question I've ever.
Oh, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna need your mom's maiden name and your social security number.
How many times a day do you look down at your own mustache and forget it and realize that it's still there? Because I do that all the time.
Well, it is like this is a newer thing for me.
Yeah.
I never had a mustache until the pandemic, and then I was like, well, going full dad mode now.
Yes.
All right, just leaning into it.
Do it.
Yeah. So it is. I do still forget that it's there sometimes.
And you like see
for
at the bottom,
sure.
you're like, oh yeah. So-
Yep. Oh, what's that tickle? Oh, it's me. The tickle is me.
That's
So
my
it's like
favorite question.
you got some food on your mustache. You're like, oh crap, that happens.
And it is really impossible not to be a creep with a mustache like this because you just get stuff in the mustache all the time. And like, I don't think there's anything like creepier than me being like taking a sip of something and then being like, yeah, you like that?
I'm only thinking egg yolk right now, and I don't know why, but
I mean, that happens at a good fried egg, like eating for easy egg. It's not fun. It's not fun. You eat that before the shower, and you can wash it off. Too much information. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. So
I'll let you say it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm a comedian. That's like normally what I do. I guess I've been a comedian for like 17 years now, and I've performed in 45 states and like 6 countries, and
Wow.
done comedy on TV and all that sort of stuff.
so
And
cool.
yeah, I started when I was a sophomore in college.
Nice.
And by the
college?
time I went to UC Santa Cruz.
Nice.
hey,
So yeah,
banana slugs.
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. And by the time the first couple of years, I was kind of just messing around with it or whatever, and then And then, everybody asks you that question when you're a senior, which is like, what are you going to do after you graduate? And that was the first time it hit me that, like, oh, I'm going to graduate at some point. And so...
I got to leave here.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't forever? Dang. And so, by the time I was graduating, I was like, oh, I think I really do want to be a comedian. So I've been doing that for a long time, and it's... my life's passion or whatever.
Or whatever.
Yeah, how can I downplay it? Well, let me minimize my love. And then
I usually do that when my parents walk in.
And then, I loved board games, and we actually hosted game nights for like other comedians and things like that in Los Angeles. And so, we had a healthy collection of board games when the pandemic hit. But it was probably something like 75 games, which to a normal person is like an insane amount, but to anybody who's like a hobbyist is like not that much. And then I started making videos about board games like when the pandemic hit and all of our shows got canceled, because I live with other comedians.
Oh, nice.
And so, all of us were like not touring, not doing that. So we were just playing games every night. And I was like, oh, I should make some videos just like for my Instagram friends, like letting them know what games to play right now. And I just literally assumed, I was like, I'll do this for a couple of months and then the world will be back to normal and I'll move on. And then, the world hasn't gotten back to normal, and also I've really enjoyed doing the board game media stuff, so I keep going,
Yeah, I think, ironically, because the world has been shut down, I love that the board game community has kind of like banded together and like learn using things like what?
Ironically?
I
don't think
even though the world, you'd think that not being able to be with people, that the board game community would have been hit pretty hard, but instead I think it grew the last 2 years.
I think it grew big time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people found their way to games because it was like, well, I've watched all of Netflix. What else could I do?
I also want to know how much money Tabletop Simulator made in the last 2 years.
Oh,
seriously.
Yeah, things like that, like Tabletop Simulator, or even what's it called? Board Game Arena.
Yeah.
That where like it allows you to play even the big box games
Which
like with people.
feels like a crime, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. I feel like you're kind of missing out on the best part of it, and even Steam has board games. Like you can play like Terraforming Mars by yourself on your computer, stuff like that. And
well, it's like the Gold Rush. The people who made money on the Gold Rush weren't the people digging for gold; it was the people selling them the shovels. So
that's
Tabletop
true.
Simulator, just the board game version of shovels.
Board game version. That's your new tagline, Tabletop Simulator. Just so you know. So, what was the thing that brought you to comedy? Was it just being in college and being that silly friend? And
I was always like the goof off sort of stuff, like growing up or whatever. I always liked making my friends laugh and things like that. But I also grew up in a fairly strict family where I was only allowed to watch 2 hours of television a week growing up and things like that. So I didn't know stand-up existed. Like it wasn't in my wheelhouse at all. And I got to college and my roommate played me the first comedy album I'd ever heard, and it blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God, that's like a thing you could just do, is tell jokes?
Do you remember what album that was?
Yeah, it was Mitch Hedberg.
Yes!
Strategic Grill Location.
Yes.
His first album. And
it's so good.
And I memorized the whole album.
Yeah.
And I played soccer at UC Santa Cruz. I got recruited to play college soccer.
Oh, nice.
And so my first performance was on a tour bus with my teammates. We'd won a game and people were feeling good and they just started getting up and telling jokes.
Oh, on the tour mic?
Yeah,
mic?
just knock jokes and that sort of stuff. And everybody was like, Grant, go do some Hedberg. You memorized that album. And I was like, no. And then everybody's started chanting my name to get me to go up on the mic. And I went up and I literally did 30 minutes of Hedberg jokes.
Material.
None of my own material or anything like that, but it felt great, right? It felt like, oh man, this is super fun. And for a month after that, my teammates and my coach would be like, every day at practice, they were like, you gotta try stand up, man. And I was like, no, shut up. I was only funny because I was like, doing somebody else's jokes.
Right,
but
right.
They kept saying it, and then, you start slow and you're like, oh, that's a funny thing. I wonder if that would be funny on stage. And I just started writing stuff down, and then my first time doing my own material was on a tour bus later that season, where I was like, hey, you guys keep telling me to write material. Well, I did it.
Hey.
And I just stood up and did like 10 minutes of jokes of my own.
That's a great crowd to start on, too, because they're already your fans.
Yeah, they already won. Yeah.
Yeah, and captive, they can't leave. They're stuck on that bus.
So then, like, literally the rest of college, whenever we were on like a road trip, I would get people together like in a hotel room and things like that and just like do jokes for my teammates and stuff, and then started
so
doing
cool.
open mics and
That's
that
awesome.
sort of, yeah.
That's super cool.
I'm glad just in the sense that like I don't know, right? There's a path to comedy more so than there is like a path to acting or whatever. There are open mics, anybody can go sign up.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that I would have had the courage to just sign up for an open mic in front of strangers and try it.
Absolutely terrifying.
So I'm glad I had that sort of like, it held my hand into the process.
Training wheels.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. I always romantically I use that word a lot apparently.
Romantically and ironically.
Yes, that's shut up. Yours is fuck, so shut up.
But I use it expertly.
That's true, you do. So, but yeah, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I was a Jungle Cruise skipper at Disneyland for like 5 years, and everyone's like, "Oh, are you a stand-up comedian?" I was like, "No, I'm not. Like you said, I'm telling other people's jokes. Like I spin them my way, but that's about it. Like I can't take
So
credit
what
for
I'm
anything.
hearing is open mic night for Dino.
No,
That's what.
I don't
Coming
have
next
any
Thursday
material.
after chat time.
I started one bit because my friend who also does stand-up comedy was trying to help me like work on stuff, and I had one bit about how because he's like, you're short, so use it. Like everybody, you're gonna walk on stage and they're gonna be like, oh, that guy's short, so use it. And I was like, okay, all right. I make fun of myself all the time. I can do it on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I get made fun of every day by these guys.
We'll keep
And
you
it's
humble.
great. Like very humble. Very humble. Anyways, no, but it was something I never even finished it. It was talking about like how a lot of people, say Dino, like, you're a short guy. Like, is it hard being short? Do people make fun of you all the time? And the answer is yes, all the time. But it's okay. It's okay. I start my day off right. I get up nice and earlier than I need to, so I can get a nice cup of coffee going. I have a nice shower, take my time, listen to music. I pick out a shirt that makes me feel good about myself. I get out there in the day and into the bright sun, and I find the first person that's shorter than me, and I beat the shit out of them. And it really sets me off on a good path. And like that's all I've worked out, just that one part of
Just that one beat.
And like I know.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna do a 30-second open mic. But I like it. Huh?
You should bring the monkey costume.
The monkey.
I mean, that would be kind of a funny flex, though, if you went up and just told that one joke and then just walked off.
For open mic night, I guess.
Everybody would be like, wait, was he serious? If you just walk off after that?
Oh, that'd be. And then I come back on with the monkey onesie and then pretend like I'm somebody completely different. That's good. No.
So if you were only allowed to watch 2 hours of TV, what were in those 2 hours?
So, it depended on what age I was, but middle school, we'll talk about that, was the age I was allowed to start watching The Simpsons. I don't think my mom let me start watching The Simpsons until I was like 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
So that was always the one. And so when anybody asked me, like, who are your comedic influences, the true answer is The Simpsons, because I wasn't able to watch stand-up. I didn't know that stand-up existed, so yeah, I mean, I loved, Steve Martin movies and things like that, but I don't know that was, like, my comedic influence as much as just, like, The Simpsons was. I mean, that was, when I was in high school, most of my jokes, when I was making my friends laugh, were just quotes from The Simpsons. You know what I mean? And then I was real into the Wayans Brothers show. I don't know if you...
Yes.
Yeah, Sean and Marlon had a show, and so that was I picked those two things. So I say I was allowed to watch 2 hours, so I was allowed to watch an hour that I chose and then an hour that my sister chose. So I'm also very familiar with all of Dawson's Creek because that was what my sister picked, and I was like, well, I only get to watch 2 hours. I'm definitely watching the hour you picked.
You take what you get, right?
So, but then I can say I started cheating a little bit. So yes, I was only allowed to watch those 2 hours, but my mom would fall asleep. My mom was an early person to sleep and slept pretty soundly. So I started figuring it out maybe in like 7th or 8th grade that like after she went to bed, I could stay awake and keep the volume down and watch Saturday Night Live. So I started watching Saturday Night Live a lot when I was like 13, 14, that sort of stuff. And actually it's so funny. I just didn't have the context for it. So I remember when Chris Rock hosted it, and when a stand-up hosts, they basically do stand-up as their monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, this is so much funnier than the normal monologue. Why do I love this so much? I don't know what they're doing, but it's like I memorized Chris Rock's like 7-minute opening monologue and would do those jokes and
That's awesome.
stuff like that.
It's always you always start imitating the people you love, right? And then you start I listen to so much. I have like Pandora stations of different comics that I just like cycle through in the morning. Like this morning was Steve Radio, and like it brings up everybody that that's close to that kind of comedy. Which it like hovers around like Tom Segura, Chad Daniels,
Bert
Kreischer gets in there sometimes.
I'm friends with all those guys.
No shit, really? That's awesome. I listen like every day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got. Do you have stuff online? I got to find your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got to look at like albums too.
My album hit #1 on comedy charts in March 2020. Yeah.
Nice.
I've been the featured artist of the month on Sirius XM.
I don't have Sirius, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
God, do your homework.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I knew you had albums, but I didn't know it was that popular. I was letting you talk.
So right now, I don't know if you know the whole. It depends on where you want to listen to albums. I don't know if you know that Spotify is in a whole beef with comedians right now.
I didn't know about comedians specifically, but I know about.
So basically, Spotify pays nothing for anybody, and a bunch of comedians signed this thing. And all of anybody who signed it is off of Spotify.
Jesus
right
Christ. Or were you one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my album is available anywhere you can hear music stuff except for Spotify currently. Hopefully it gets worked out and it's back up there at some point.
Yeah, and you can get to it through your website too, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna piss off a group of people, I feel like comedians aren't the ones because they're not gonna shut the fuck up. Like they're gonna make a lot of noise.
They'll destroy you. They don't care.
There's a question from Zach Wenstrom in the chat. What's Grant's favorite joke from his favorite comedian?
Oh, that's a good question.
My favorite joke from any comedian. Boy, that's so hard.
Good bit.
I mean, it's gotta be a Hedberg one because that was like what started me on comedy, and I love his like use of words. I think one of the interesting things is like I'm not a one-liner comedian at all. It's not how my brain works. So I love comedians that can do that because I'm like fascinated by like how do you think of this stuff because that's not how I think at all. One of my favorite jokes ever, Mitch Hedberg, is I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
Yes. So good. Yeah. I think one of my favorite. I think it might be. Is it strategic relocations? It might be. It might be all together. But it's the. I've always wanted a suitcase handcuffed to my wrist.
Yeah.
That's not a full joke. That's called filler.
Man, he's got so. But I was talking to my buddy recently, and he was like, "Man, the weather is trippy," and I was like, "Maybe it's not the weather that it is in fact trippy. It is our perception of the weather that is indeed trippy." And then I realized I should have just said, yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. I love Mitch Hedberg. But him and God, what's the other one-liner king? Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright.
Yeah, he was incredible.
Yeah.
Also the voice of the
early
turtle in Swan
bird
Princess.
gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
Oh no! I forgot. That one takes a second.
My favorite Hedberg was the stupid rice one, and I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, yeah, rice is great when you're hungry and you want 1,000 of something.
2,000 of
2,000 of something. You ruined it.
Yeah.
Dang it.
But even there's guys that I came up with there's a guy that nobody would know. His name's John Hugasian, but he is a great comic and writes those sort of one-liner jokes too. So like some of those guys I started with, their jokes are still in my brain. You know,
Yeah.
like John Hugasian, like he was like, I was rummaging through the couch recently and I scored huge. I found a bed.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So you grew. What brought you into comedy? What influenced you to start? What do you think influenced your style? Like, when did you find your style of comedy?
Well, it is interesting. Like, it's so funny. The first 6 months I was doing comedy, I was just a Hedberg knockoff because that was who was in my brain when I thought about jokes.
Sure.
And then the more and more I did it, the more your own sort of, voice replaces somebody else's voice in your head. And I think it probably took me about 3 years of doing it regularly before I started writing jokes that I actually care about. Like now when I look back, any joke I wrote in the first 3 years, I'm like, boy, that was rough. And about that 3-year mark, I'm like, okay, not all of them were good, but I can look back and go, that was a good joke, right? I still stand by that joke or whatever. But you know what? It really just comes with experience. It's all trial and error of doing. At this point, I've been on stage thousands of times, and now I know like what my voice is and how I want to talk on stage. And there'll be times I'll even write stuff, and I'll go, man, that's funny, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
Like that's not the character I've created on stage and that sort of stuff. Most people when they describe me and describe my stand-up call me intellectually silly.
Okay.
Right? I want to be dumb and goofy, but also intelligent at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
The best, like, it's so hard to like when people say, "What kind of comedy do you do?" I'm like, the funny kind. I hope I don't know what to say to that. Like
The funny kind.
Yeah, to that question. So I'll give you the best quote I've ever had about me was in a magazine called On Magazine, and they said, "I like smart comedians, but they can be so preachy. I like goofy comedians, but they can be so dumb. Grant finds the right balance between smart and goofy."
That's cool. That's a
And
great
I was like,
review.
oh, yeah, exactly.
Did it. That's what I wanted.
Let's go on the website in cursive.
Yeah, please.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh god, the question just like flew out of my brain. So you said you write jokes like, oh, this is funny, but it's not me. Do you trade jokes with your friends? Like you said, you live with comedians. Do you guys ever like swap jokes or be like, hey,
I don't know if we've never done that, but we certainly help each other with premises where it's like somebody's like, hey man, I got this idea and I can't figure out the ending of it. Then we'll like sit and brainstorm and try to give each other ideas for somebody else's joke.
Okay, that's cool. That's nice to have like you live with comedians too, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, it works out all right.
That's a good way to workshop, right? Because they're going to be honest with you.
For sure.
Yeah, because like it's like, oh, well, we'll test it out in front of my family and friends. And I'm like, you're so funny. You're so great.
Or family and friends can be the complete opposite, where they're like, I'm disappointed you're doing this with your life.
Why would you talk about that on stage? I love that's true. Comedians are what is it? Patton Oswalt had a bit about he's like people say that strippers are the bellwether of bad parenting, but I put it to you, comedians are way worse. Because a stripper goes up, shows your genitals, and you give her money, which you should. A comedian goes up, doesn't take off any clothes at all, talks about his genitals and for a while and then leaves the stage. That's way worse. What if a stripper comes on the stage and is like, listen guys, buckle up, I'm going to talk about my vagina for the duration of this REO Speedwagon song. You're going to enjoy this. So you looked like you were shocked.
No,
What's wrong?
just listening.
No, said bad words.
Me? No.
Okay, good. So you do acting. Oh, you have a question first.
I got a question. Okay, so let's Grant's Gamer Rex yourself. So like if someone has played Grand Lyon, what other great games might they enjoy? What other great comedians would you send?
I was like, where are you going with this?
I had a point. I didn't pick the words right, but you get it.
Yeah, if you like me as a comedian, what other comedians would you like?
Correct.
I definitely think think Steve Martin, if you've never gone back and watched old Steve Martin stand up, he's like the best at that, smart and goofy, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite contemporary comedians, probably my favorite contemporary comedian, is Dana Gould.
Oh, yeah.
And Dana was one of the head writers for The Simpsons when I loved it the most, and some of the best seasons and things like that. But he is the best example of like dark but irreverent at the same time.
Okay.
You know?
Dark but irreverent.
Yeah, he had like one of my jokes of his that I loved was he was like, you know, my wife, I avoid conflict at all costs. You know, my plan has always been my wife will do something that annoys me that I hate. I'll say nothing about it, and then years later, I'll die of cancer.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, he's very, very funny. Dana Gould.
Dana
so if you
Gould's
haven't
great.
heard him. So those are a couple. Yeah, if you like me, you should check them out.
We're friends with one of the animators that was on The
Oh,
Simpsons.
cool.
Won an Emmy for it too.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
He performed at Knott's Berry Farm with us,
Oh, all right.
which is
Nice.
really weird to say. But he's got a lot of cool stories about those guys that worked on that show. And, he was talking about the head animator like showed up at his desk in the middle of the night on his first day with a cigar and started smoking and said, "Draw Homer."
Yeah.
Draw Homer again, and like just made him draw Homer a few times before he's like, "All right, you're doing all right." Okay, well, yeah. So you comedy is what got you started, but you do acting as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, with any of that sort of stuff, you know, anything in the entertainment business, you end up wearing a bunch of different hats and stuff like, right? So I've written scripts that have won awards, and I've acted in things that have done stuff. And in fact, I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this. So there was a show on TV last year called The Movie Show. It was a sci-fi TV show. And it was a show about movies that was hosted by a couple of puppets. And I had a part on it where I played, you know, it was kind of a show within a show. So I played like one of the crew guys that's like moving, you know, stuff around and things like that. And at one point I got to punch a puppet right in the face.
Why are you looking at me when you're saying that?
You're the closest.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm over here.
So on television, I got to just really give a nice uppercut to a puppet. So watch your words.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about,
That's
fellas?
a
Yes,
great
sir.
idea,
I am
Grant.
not
That's a
above
wonderful
punching.
idea.
Yeah,
Don't get
it
an
is.
idea, Dino.
Yeah.
I can take you. You're my size.
That's true.
It
That's
is very
true.
satisfying though. We're quite cushiony. We're good for your knuckles and anything. So I understand the appeal.
I think the most I've done is shoved a felted friend. I think I
Yeah.
shoved one of you. I don't remember. Probably you.
I've definitely bit you in lots of places.
You have, well, some of those are fun. Anyways, so wait, but he's only wearing one hat. What's special about that hat? What's special about that hat? That's a good
This
question.
hat is special because this is the company that published my board game.
Nice.
So this is a special hat.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
you have a published board game.
I do. I do.
You
What
have
an
it with us.
ironic,
I do.
romantic segue.
I actually didn't plan that.
It wasn't planned at all.
Yeah. This is Curmudgeon. This is a game. It's published by 25th Century Games. You know, it's available a lot of places where board games are available.
Nice.
It is a silly party game. It is
Okay.
essentially the way I describe it is it's like Mad Libs for dumb insults. So you are like, you have keywords and you're like making up an insult using keywords and throwing them down on other players and stuff. You know, one of the things that I wanted to do with a game that I designed is, you know, a game like, you know, all these party games like What Do You Meme or Cards Against Humanity, some of the more popular ones, you know, they're fine, but I don't get to bring my sense of humor into them at all, right? The jokes are pre-written and it's just sort of matching stuff. And for me, that gets boring fairly quickly. And so I wanted to make a game where it's like a little bit more open-ended and you can bring your own sense of humor into it, right?
I like
There
that.
are key words, but you can sort of build the insult around the keywords however you want to do it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so you get to, and my favorite thing in the game, the player indicator
Yes.
is a microphone. So this gets passed around the table, so you could do an insult and then drop the mic after your insult.
Oh, I love a good tactile part of a game.
yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so good. And then it becomes a dexterity game when you throw it at somebody else.
True.
I do love the party games like that where you have to like add your justification or make your argument and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
Fun
Super
Employed
Fight.
is a fun one.
Totally.
Movie,
Like those are some
I
of
just bought one.
those are some of the most fun games, party games, where it's like, oh, you get to like a party game I loved of the last year was Dream Crush. And it hasn't gotten as much notice because it was made by Mondo, and Mondo shut down their games department. But it's a game where there are 3 photos of people, interesting looking characters, and you kind of reveal more about them as the game goes on, and some of the things might be good and some of the things might be bad.
Okay.
So it might be like, this guy was an Eagle Scout, but he says it is what it is every sentence. And you're like, okay. And so you learn more about them, and you have to pick who to go on a date after each round, and you score points by correctly guessing who other people are gonna pick. So every time I pick somebody, I have to justify why I've picked them. That's
great.
where the comedy comes in, right? Where you're like, well, obviously I'm gonna pick this guy because he's an Eagle Scout. He knows how to tie knots, and I'm into knots, if you know what I mean. Just stuff like that. Yeah.
I need to get this game.
Yeah. It's pretty fun if you're with a social group of people where that like that justification, like you were just talking about, where you can kind of bring your own sense of humor into it. I love that in games.
Love that.
Yeah.
I just picked up snake oil.
Oh yeah.
Which is like you get somebody is, it's like what's it called? Cards Against Humanity, where somebody picks the winner.
Yeah.
And you have to convince them to pick your card or whatever by being good. And the point is you combine 2 words to make a product, and you have to sell it to that individual. But they have a card that tells them who they are, like what their occupation is or where they're from or something like that. And so you have to sell it to them with that lens on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I haven't played it yet. I'm having a game night with another couple tonight, and we're obviously going to bring it. Sorry, I keep telling you whatever you want, man.
You never invite. You never set it up.
Yeah, whatever you want.
I didn't
just
set this
don't
one up
come
either,
here.
to be fair. So I'm really bad at making plans.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you sell it to them, and you like try to convince them to buy your product, and then choose whoever they think was the best sell.
Speaking of convincing you to buy a product, link to Curmudgeon is in the chat.
Yay! Look at that. Thank you, Hardliner. Dan Ped. He put your link tree in there too. So if you,
nice.
we'll put them at the end of the show as well for you to follow.
Cool. Yeah, I can actually say, so we are, this was my first game, and I think it's very good, but I think there's, we're doing a new printing soon, and it's even gonna get a couple of tweaks that I think will make the game even better. So this
wait to buy it.
So, well, no, it's
so good.
There's only, there's not that many copies left of the first printing, so if you want an original printing, then get it. It'll become a collector's item.
Sweet first edition.
Yeah, exactly. And then a second edition will come out probably later this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that process? Because this is your first game. So
This is my first game.
What was that? What said to you? You know what? I'm gonna make my own. Like I got an idea for a game. Like this is gonna be.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I got some advice early on in my entertainment career, which I've tried to hold to, which I thought was very good advice, and it was the hardest thing for people to do in the entertainment business is to walk through the doors that open to them when they aren't the doors they expected to open.
Ooh,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's like, okay, your dream is to be on Saturday Night Live. Well, this other TV show wants to hire you, and you're like, no,
I want to be
I'm holding out for Saturday Night Live. Well, it's like, yeah, but go do this. If you have a TV show, go do that TV show.
Yeah.
And so I, the reason I bring that up is because I had a buddy who has a couple of published games. And he knew me through acting. He's like also kind of a filmmaker on the side, but his like job is doing art design for video games, and in that has done multiple board games. And so, he knew I was a comedian. He thought I was funny. He knew I liked games. And so he approached me, and this is probably 5 years ago at this point, and was like, hey, every game I've done to this point is like a family strategy game. I want to do an adult party game. You're funny. You like games. Would you be interested in working on designing a game? And I had never really thought about it at that point. And I was like, well, you know that world a lot more than I do, and I do love games, so sure. Yeah, I'd be
Nice.
interested in working on a game. And, we started kicking, he threw some ideas at me, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's all right. And then sort of got to the genesis of this idea. And the funny thing is, like, almost none of the gameplay is the same as, like, that first, like, pitch or whatever. But the idea of curmudgeon and throwing out insults, I was like, that's fun. I'm
Yeah.
into that. I would totally work on that game. And so, we spent 2 years designing and playtesting and all that sort of stuff. And then another year, like, pitching it to people and things. I'm very glad that I had his experience because I didn't really understand the process as much. So, for instance, you sit down and you design a game, but it's all theory until you actually play it with other people.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's gonna work or what's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's all the best laid plans, right? Get destroyed.
Yeah.
And I almost cried after our first play test. Oh no! Like legitimately.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no, we've wasted 6 months. This is awful. This is awful. Okay, we should just give up now, right? That's the plan, is just to give up. I'm ready to give up.
Oh man.
And he was like, no. That's how this works. We just figured out a bunch of stuff that didn't work, and we got a couple of kernels of what does work, and now you get rid of all that stuff that doesn't work and focus on centering the game around those couple of things that did work.
Okay.
We essentially, from the very beginning, we made the game way too complex for what it was. It was like, you need this to pay for this, and that allows you to do this, but then you can't do this if you don't have this. And it was like, why do all that? Just, hey, it's funny to throw down an insult. That is like the crux of the game. And so really, like, my MO after that was like, okay, well, how do we just focus the gameplay on those few aspects that are actually fun to do and get rid of all the other things that are just sort of business, right?
Yeah, instead of making it like a bigger game, like with like strategy and stuff, it becomes more of like a fun game to bring to friends' houses.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I think that would make for a better game to market, especially for this game. People like, hey, you could play this with anybody as long as you're okay, hearing bad things about stuff.
For sure.
Well, now I do want a Euro-style insult game.
A heavy worker placement.
I finally saved up enough gold to get an F-bomb. Let's go.
Okay, I put my worker here. That gives me 3 rage points.
Oh no! It's a deck builder too, so you can only use the words that are in your hand. Oh God, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm always looking for good party games that are not just like. There's like the go-tos that people have. But I'm always looking for something. You're like Snake. When I found Snake, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's not. It's not quite Cards Against Humanity, but it's still fun.
Well, and I think it's interesting because the biggest barrier of entry to this is people go, oh, I don't think I'll be good at making up insults, right? People are like, I don't think I can do that. But I have yet to play it with somebody that isn't good at it, because the dumbest stuff that barely makes sense is sometimes that's the funniest stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to throw out this like epic insult. I remember one time somebody like had the keyword simple, and literally their insult was just, hey, you're simple. just like in the delivery of it and stuff, it made everybody laugh,
Oh, that's so good.
I volunteer Ryan for that test, because there's no mean bone. He can't do mean.
It's true. Sweet man.
We feel real bad sometimes, maybe, after.
Maybe so. We do tend to make fun of Ryan a little bit too much on the show.
Yeah.
But
Ryan doesn't send it back.
such a great man, and we're very lucky to have him doing all the work back there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you. Again, seriously, next time put a shirt on. Thank you.
I mean, if you're going with shirt, I'd say pants.
I will say it's
We
rather
don't know which way
impressive.
the wind is coming.
Carlin Kendrick says playtesting will humble you in ways life can never humble you. You're asking for harsh criticism about without the nipple clamps. Hey, speaking of Ryan, sorry, that was a long running joke that he would only wear nipple clamps behind the monitor. Sorry, I'd rather have harsh criticism without nipple clamps. I mean, it's all taste.
Yeah, don't yuck anybody's young. All right?
Everybody's young. So do you...
What? Say everybody's young?
I don't know what you said.
I said don't yuck anybody's yum.
Yuck anybody's
Just
young.
like everybody's young. Moving on.
Listen, I am
No, I
very
am older
tired.
every day and dying inside.
That's fair. That's fair. Corey Lynn says, "Oh my God, all in person. Where have you been, Corey? We've done a few of these.
Yeah, what the fuck, Corey?
Come back. What the hell?" Corey's one of our mods. Anyways,
And she's a player.
and she's a player too. But and maybe a DM. Hink hink.
Not maybe. It's happening.
She's been promising for months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out of freebies, friend.
I don't believe it anymore.
So do you have any other game plans? Are you?
I do. I have 2 more games, and one of them is signed, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it. Actually,
You don't have to say
now.
anything if you don't want to.
Well, it's everything I do is going to be party games.
Okay,
Because
great.
Just some of it's like about building a brand, and I am hopefully a funny person that likes creating joyful experiences, and that's where I want to do with the games that I design too. So
Okay.
So it's a fun it's a drawing game with a unique twist because it has nothing to do with how good you're drawing. We basically draw some stuff, and then we have to answer questions based on somebody else's drawing. Like, what's this person's New Year's resolution? And, that sort of stuff. So you get
That's
to make
cool.
up funny answers.
I like
about
that.
People's drawings.
I like it's like a twist on I always called it Telephone Pictionary. I know it's actually got a board game now. It's
Telestrations?
Telestrations.
Oh, yeah, I love Telestrations.
Yeah, we used to play it with like flashcards, and we just like pass the stack of flashcards around.
Yeah.
And then I saw the box. I was like, oh, we played that game. We just didn't call it.
Yeah.
In a holding area for a game show, we were playing Guess Who, but instead of doing any physical descriptors, we started guessing by their life choices.
That's
It's like,
I love that.
it's like, did your person do hard time? Did you really?
That is a much harder version of that game.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
That's a cool. I love house rules for games.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the house rules I saw on a YouTube channel was talking about snake oil, where their house rule is you had to create a jingle for the product as well, not just sell it, but you had to make a jingle.
That's fun.
I love that. I love finding twists on games and things like that. Do you have any?
So-
So I was gonna say yes. You were saying.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Cucumber was also gonna say
I
something.
was.
Go for it, Cucumber.
Okay, Zach asks, does Grant play any D&D?
Oh.
I did when I was a kid and haven't for a long time.
Okay.
So I will say I've always been more into tabletop games than RPGs. So when I was younger, my introduction to games was Magic the Gathering. I played a lot when I was a kid and collected. That's what I spent all my allowance on. But then within the Magic world, met some people that liked D&D. So
Naturally, yeah.
did a bunch of stuff when I was like probably 11 to 15. Never DM'd or anything like that myself, and then haven't done much in the RPG world since then. So
I'm the opposite. I didn't get into D&D like 3 years ago.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Again, a lot of people did, but so what was it? Just what didn't you like about the world? Because you're
Oh, I think it's very fun. So much of RPGs are dependent on how good of a DM you have.
Oh,
right?
that's
That
fair.
Is like, and I don't think I had some people that, if you have somebody that's just like in the book the whole time and you're waiting around, like it's not an amazing experience.
It's
you
true.
know? Which is hard. I get it. It's like a hard job. Like there's a lot to do and stuff, but I think part of the reason I haven't gotten back into it is just I haven't known somebody that wants to DM and do it well and stuff
Cucumber,
like that.
nice to meet you.
I'd be happy to do it.
Hell yes.
I just did a Star Trek RPG a couple of weeks ago. I had a great time doing it.
Nice.
So,
Is it the
yeah.
Modifius one?
Oh man, it was.
Were there like a million rules for your ship?
No, it was more. They have an interesting system where you are rolling two d20s, but the difference is normally you have to like roll above a certain number. This is you have to roll below a certain number to be successful on stuff. So yeah, and you have different abilities in different things. So then you're adding up to. Each die represents a different ability, and then you're adding up that number. So it's like, okay, this is a 16. I have to roll below a 16 because my character is good in this sort of thing, and I had a great time doing it. It is
great.
fun to like role play a character and to take on sort of. I played. They ended up setting the scenario started out in a bar, and so I just was like, okay, I'm playing the security officer, but this is the one day a year I go to the bar, okay, and I've only had 2 drinks, but I'm very tipsy right now because now crisis is happening, and this is why I don't drink, okay, because you never know when it's gonna happen. And it was just fun to like get into characters.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Our version of D&D is high silliness, light story. Even though when we try to do high story, it always ends up more silliness than we expect.
Wonder why, chat?
We play our games where they can pay money to interact. Like if they donate $5, it gives us like a blessing or a reroll or something.
Yeah.
But then they could also drop characters,
Okay.
events.
Fun.
And so it gets a little crazy. Like a battle with 2 Dragonborn becomes a battle with 2 Dragonborns, a Blink Dog, or a Banana Dog is what we had the other day. We had a 6-legged beast of burden that came in. We had a crime dog that smelled the marijuana that we smoked right before, because in character, why not? We called it Zaboomafoo. It was great. Am I almost saying?
You know what everyone's favorite thing is, Dino, is when they talk about their D&D campaigns.
I know. Sorry. Anyways, message retracted by Carlin.
What'd you do, bud?
Sorry.
Oh, it must have been spicy.
Leave it in. I've loved getting to know you, and I want to get to know you a little more. I gave you some homework.
Yes, you did.
I want to make sure that I didn't make you do it for no reason. So we're gonna play one of our games that we like to call "One of These Is Bullshit." Good job on the button, Ryan. I almost didn't give you any warning. So this is our version of Two Truths and a Lie, which is 2 truths and a lie. We didn't change it.
Our version is exactly the same as the version you know.
Nothing's different. We just do it.
Bunch of grifters here.
Called it something else. That's all we did. Borrowing what we love. So
You want to hear our Mitch Hedberg jokes?
hey, we'll do what you can, right? So I'm gonna have you give us our the 2 truths and a lie.
Okay.
Put on your best poker face. Make sure you're not giving anything away. And take it away, and then we'll discuss what we think the lie is.
Okay.
All right.
So just go into each of them. So in 7th grade, we would do school trips. You know how you do class trips at school sometimes at the beginning of the year, and you like get to know your classmates better. So 7th grade, we did this sort of like camping trip where we had to like hike out to this little island, and we camped out on the island for the night. And after the teachers, the chaperones, had all gone to bed, we were playing Truth or Dare, as, 12, 13-year-olds want to do.
Of course.
And I was dared to jump over the fire, the bonfire that we had. And I obviously don't back down from dares, all right?
No, of course not.
And so I tripped before I got to it, and ended up falling and putting my hands into the fire and burning my hands, and had to like be taken off the island in the middle of the night and stuff like that to get my hands dealt with.
Oh gosh. So that's one.
When I was 24. I got arrested for shooting Roman candles at cars coming down the street. So I'd had a bad day, and my roommates were having like a party. I think I'd had a bad comedy show and stuff like that too, and I came home and just did a bunch of shots right in a row to try to catch up with everybody at the party, and then people were leaving the party at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever, and I had just gotten there, and I was like, no, don't leave, I know what'll keep the party going, let's do fireworks out in the street. So I was like shooting fireworks in the street, like trying to keep the party going. And then the cops showed up, and I was like, which one of you called the cops? I was like, yeah, maybe the people in the cars I'm shooting fireworks at. So I got handcuffed and arrested and all that stuff.
Oh, man.
So that's another one.
Okay.
I'm a performer at heart, right? So I've always wanted to be a performer. So one of the stories my family loves telling is when I was 4 years old at Disney, there's that stage that rotates and comes up
Tomorrowland Terrace.
from under the ground,
Yeah.
and they have bands there all the time, right? So a band was playing, and unasked, uninvited, as a 4-year-old, I found my way up onto the stage and literally stood in front of the lead singer and was dancing up there and got everybody in the crowd like clapping and cheering me and stuff like that as I did my sweet 4-year-old dance moves up there. Yeah. So that's it. Those are my 2 truths and a lie.
This is a lot harder
That's a
when you
lot of-
sell each one.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
detail and a lot of
That's the key. You gotta do
possibility.
detail. That's the
Yeah.
thing. People will do all this detail in the 2 truths and then put no detail in the lie.
Or
and
the
you're
opposite,
like,
right? Or they'll
Yeah.
put like way too much detail in the
Yeah.
lie and then not enough in the truth. Like, well, clearly they tried too hard to hide that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's see.
Okay, this is what I'm
I-
thinking. I'm thinking it's either the Tomorrowland Terrace stage. Oh fuck, I don't know now.
I'm only leaning toward Tomorrowland Terrace because there's one thing that doesn't make sense. That stage doesn't rotate.
Well, okay. In my
he was
4-year-old
4-year-old.
perception, it comes up from underneath the ground.
That is true. That is
that's
accurate. But
But
also,
kids do jump on that stage.
kids
though.
do jump on that stage, but they're also swiftly dealt with 99% of the time. So
You also
either
have-
there's lax security.
You also have to
was
remember
also-
this was in the 1980s.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. No one gave a
Before safety was
yeah.
very much considered.
Yeah.
Oh my
The fire
god.
drum, it's like I know plenty of people who've done that, just burn different things.
Yeah.
And then there's the Roman candles.
I like that
I
you
used to, when I was a kid, I threw super balls
with
at
a little
cars.
chart.
They thought we were throwing rocks, so somebody chased us into the neighborhood.
Go ahead, the straw polls in the chat, so go ahead and vote. We have like
I'm
a lot of people say Tomorrowland
I'm gonna
Terrace,
say
I think.
arrested is
gonna-
the lie.
you gonna say
Because I
wasn't
really
arrested?
want the other two to
Okay.
be.
Yeah,
other
maybe
two
the
to be.
story's true. He just wasn't arrested.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a detail that is untrue in one of these stories.
Yeah.
Like maybe
It's
he
happened
wasn't
to our
4, he
show
was
before.
5. Fuck.
I'm gonna go. A lot of people are saying Tomorrowland Terrace. I'm gonna go with the fire. I'm gonna go with the fire.
All right. All right.
The fireworks or the burning?
Oh, the fire, the burning
Okay.
hands. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the burning hands. I have done something similar where I poked at a fire too much and it went right in my face
yeah.
and burned off my eyebrows.
I did that.
Yeah, did you really?
I used to,
why you don't have
take
eyebrows?
lighters and suck the butane into my mouth and then blow fire like the poor man way.
Yeah.
And,
That's terrible.
yeah, and then there was one time I was like, it didn't go. But when I went, it went whoosh. It was great. I used to have a mustache like that.
And a nose.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do you think?
I said it out loud. You weren't paying attention.
No, I know.
I said I think I'm gonna say arrested is the lie because I really want the other two to be true.
Oh, you want the other two to be true though? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you settle on one, Cucumber?
I'm saying Tomorrowland Terrace, but
Okay.
I'm not confident in any
Okay.
choice
Okay, so
right
we got 3 different votes. That's
we'll see.
interesting.
Did we get all the? It looks like it hasn't really changed much. All right, cool. I think that's it. I think we're good.
All
Let's
right.
see, so did he say arrested or put in handcuffs? You said arrested, right?
Well, I guess I meant put in handcuffs and
Detained.
Yeah.
Okay. Did a script cop show up and put him in furry handcuffs? That'd be a whole different story. I think. It's a different party. Oh yeah. All right. I think we're good. So let's go with one truth at a time. So
Okay. The Tomorrowland Terrace is true.
Oh man.
Yep, I really.
Nice.
That's the story that everybody in my family always says when they're like, we knew he was gonna be a performer from very young, right? Because I just loved being the center of attention. That's the thing. You're like, did you always want to be a comedian? And I'm like, no, but I always wanted to be the center of attention.
Yep. And it worked.
You know? Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. That's funny because we at least one of us has been on that Tomorrowland stage. Many times.
Yeah, they let me do like the whole song. They didn't like
so
escort me
cool.
off the stage.
crazy
I mean, literally
pants.
everybody was like clapping along and stuff.
I'm sure
like
the band
that.
probably like if security saw it, the band was like, no, leave him on stage. I'm sure they would have been fine. But
yeah, because I
that's
was
funny.
killing it. You know?
You were rocking those 4-year-old dance moves.
Now you would get tackled out of there.
That's true.
All right.
second truth.
The second truth. The fireworks story is true.
Nice. Oh my god.
So you can actually, if you listen to my album, my comedy album, you could hear a whole like 7 or 8 minute bit about the multiple times I've been arrested and stuff for fireworks.
All for fireworks?
Oh, it's the only thing I've ever been arrested for, and I've been arrested multiple times for fireworks. I got charged with a felony at one point. I had to get a lawyer and go to court and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, real into fireworks.
Comedian, board game designer, pyromaniac.
I don't do much anymore because I like literally was like, oh, this is like ruining my life. Like I have to.
I can stop anytime I want.
Yeah, I gotta stop doing this.
I mean, it could be a lot worse than fireworks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing, so I guess arrested is too strong of a word for that one. I got handcuffed, put in the back of a cop car, and held there for like 20 minutes, and then they let me go.
Right.
So I didn't actually get charged with anything. And that was so much worse than the time I actually did get charged and had to go to court and all this stuff. The time that I got like actually charged was I was just getting fireworks out of my trunk. I had like a ton of fireworks in the trunk of my car.
Oh no.
And I literally just stepped up onto the curb and a police officer happened to be walking down the sidewalk at the time. So I essentially bumped into a police officer just holding all of these illegal fireworks, not even doing them, and he was like, "Take a seat, son." And I'm like, you know?
That's like a bit in a sitcom, you know?
Yeah.
That's totally what would happen. A comical pile of fireworks bumping into a cop.
Did you ever do the thing, because this is something one of my neighbors did, where they like cut open every single firework they had to make a giant pile of like
Oh, I tried
powder
to
and
do that
stuff?
in like 6th grade.
Yeah.
Yep, we tried to make a big old firework bomb. Yeah.
We did that. So
See for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
we used to have Teepee gangs in Burbank.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very not gang-like, but gang-like.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we did was after we teepeed somebody's house, and we what is it called? I can't remember what it's called. But alley shopping, where like you get stuff like from alleys and you put it all on their lawn. So like there was like couches and like. You've never done that? Oh, it's fucking great.
No, we weren't criminals.
No, you take stuff that was being thrown away in dumpsters, not like.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
We had a dumpster chair here for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that, except we put it on somebody's lawn as if we were teepeeing them. And so we would like set up a living room. One time it was right after Christmas, so we put a Christmas tree on the front lawn. That was
funny.
everything. And then to like do the big finish, we put a whole bunch of fireworks and toilet paper in a pile and like put all the wicks into the toilet paper and put a little like lighter fluid and lit the whole thing on fire.
Holy
So we
hell.
had time to run away, and then it started going off in the middle of the street in residential Burbank.
That's awesome.
Yeah, their services
That is
were very
exactly-
tasteful, and now they're at peace. Well done, Dino. Well done.
Yeah, it was great. There was like a desk. There was like an office set up because there was a desk there and everything. There was a little couch. There was a TV. Like it was being thrown out. It was fucking great.
That sounds super into.
What?
Where were your parents?
Asleep, probably. My dad would have laughed. My mom would have been upset, but my dad caused some shit.
Oh, that was dads in my family too. I used to do a lot of fireworks with my buddy Skylar, and his mom was always like, no, but his dad liked him. So when his mom would leave, his dad would be like, all right, let's grab the fireworks.
Nice, very nice. Oh man, so we are gonna do a very quick round of this last game because we're very quick. We're gonna get through a few things, but let's bring out our resident expert. Wait, what? Very quick.
I'm just saying very quick. Go, go, go.
Our resident expert of all things, Dr. Know-It-All. Dr. Know-It-All is our multi-headed expert of all things, who is here to answer your questions. So go ahead and drop any advice you might have. We're going to do really quickly. Yeah, he has a habit of doing this. We're going to answer all your questions and advice. We're only going to take a few of them, so throw them out quickly, and we're going to get going. But Dr. Know-It-All's heads today look like Chunk, Grant, and Cucumber. And they will answer one head at a time, one word at a time, until an answer has been given.
Yes.
Please include some of the question in the answer, and then bow with all your heads to let them know that the answer is complete.
Let's start with Carlin's question right there.
Yeah, there we go. Chat. Oh gosh. So, Dr. Know-It-All, what was Dino's Teepee gang name? I'm just moderating. So, starting with Chuck.
Oh, you're not part of it?
No, I'm
No,
moderating.
he's,
so it's
he's
gonna be
better than all of us.
no, I'm not.
Dino's
Gang
Name,
when
he
lights,
things
up
is,
the
boys
who,
want
danger.
I like it. Nothing to improve upon.
That's a very poetic game title. The Boys Who Want Danger.
Yeah. Very straightforward.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Know-It-All. Zach wants to know what's the funniest joke of all time? Of all time.
The boys
Who
like danger
is
The
worst
joke
ever
made.
the
end.
Sure, done. Let's not answer the question. That's great. All right. Dr. Know-It-All, who was Dino's Teepee gang Mr. Whipple? Well, we already answered that question, but let's find out. Was the other Teepee gang named Mr. Whipple?
The
Gang
name
was
Mr.
Whipple
for
All
the
other
kids
who
wanted
to
be
part
of
there.
gang.
Okay.
Sure. That was okay. All right. The Boys Who Want Danger with a
Boys Who
Z.
Want
Yes,
Danger.
that's exactly right, Carlin. Boys spelled with a Z. That's how badass we were in the early 2000s. Okay, here was Garrett Parker. Ooh, you're gonna cause some drama here. Why is the Book of Boba Fett just a ripoff of Dune?
The
spice
Extends
and
fucker
all
life
when
you
sell
your
drugs
to
young
kids
they
pay
with
their
piggy
banks.
I
enjoy
Having
their
money.
yeah, clearly tackled the topic.
Also, hey.
also, you just, the spice, drugs. You just gotta get into everything.
Gotta get everything.
Yeah.
And also, hate to break it to you, Garrett, but kind of all of Star Wars was a big ripoff of Dune for a bit.
That was like a little ripoff.
A little bit of rip, but not a big ripoff. But anyways. But you know what? That's a good spot to end. Talking about drugs and kids. That's a good thing that we're not promoting on our show at all.
Not me.
I don't know why you had to specify that.
No, just want to be. clear.
Just to be very clear. Okay, got it. Okay.
My mom's watching.
Because your mom's watching. Hi, Mom. We didn't meet your mom. You should bring your mom on the show.
Nah.
No? She camera shy?
No, she don't like you.
No, that's fair.
I don't like you either.
I love being a nerd. Grant, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Is there anything you want to leave with the show with? Any place you want to send people?
Somebody.
Just check out Grant's Game Rex. I do content mostly on TikTok, but also Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
So.
the link tree will be in the chat. Somebody will drop it in right now for you. And then Curmudgeon,
Yeah. Curmudgeon is available, through Target, through Amazon, through 25th Century Games, direct from them. You just Google Curmudgeon game, you're gonna find it. So,
and stay tuned for the new version of it coming out this year. Excellent. Thanks for joining us. If you think that our show is worth $1, at least $1, you please join our Patreon. Be one of our wonderful Patreon producers, like M. Jason O'Dowd.
Yeah.
As well as our associate producers, like the names that are about to come on the screen that aren't there. I did the same thing.
William Huddlemeyer, Logan Gilbert, Merck, and Mission 909.
Yeah.
So there are various rewards at all the various tiers, starting at $1, but you can get yourself some cool wallpapers, and some comics. But we also have exclusive pins at tiers 3 and above, and if you're at the producer level, we'll play a one-shot of D&D with you. And the next one for those is coming up on March 7th. March, not May. March 7th. And sign up. Make sure you join our Discord, discord.rollforhotness.com to keep track of everything that we're doing.
Dick Sword.
Dick Sword, everybody.
Wait, are you
we
early?
passed it. Oh, it was on the
You
screen.
missed it. You missed it.
Anyways, thanks for joining us, everybody. Stay tuned. Tonight we have Monster Daycare. Is that tonight?
Monster Care Squad.
Care
Yes,
Squad, that one.
yes.
Tonight
Whatever,
at
close
7:30
7:30 p.m.
on
Pacific.
Twitch.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
you
And
next
you know
week.
what? As they always say, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving isn't for you.
Yeah.
I felt that today. Anyways,
Okay,
have a good day.
Bye.